Cadillac anymore, which then we tried to work into the set somehow, but, you know, what can you do? It was the first day of work. I guess I was a little nervous.
I'm waving at you.
Oh, I see, okay.
So, 4 years ago, when Brent Spiner was here,
Oh, I see, okay.
the tech crew put a message up on the screen that said, "Is the Borg Queen snoggable?" Would you say Brent Spiner was snoggable?
Oh, absolutely. Wouldn't you agree? What did he say? What did Brent say?
He was embarrassed and didn't want to answer the question.
Oh, well, that's too bad of him. What? Oh, great, yeah.
In First Contact, when your head and shoulders were coming down, what did you think about that when you saw it on screen?
They had said to me that this was going to be the most amazing entrance of all time. And the first time I saw it was when I went to revoice the role. Because there was so much heavy machinery on set, I had to revoice the whole role both times. And I got there, and what happened was that her head came down here, and her body was here. And there was this glitch, this jump. And I thought, oh my God, that doesn't really work. But I kept my mouth shut, and I came back 3 weeks later to do some more, and it was still, I mean, it just didn't work. And when I saw it at the press screening, I was astounded, because it was what we all saw. And apparently, they had had a team of industrial light and magic people just working on getting it right. Because how we had filmed it was that they made a full body cast of me for the suit, and obviously one of my head for the makeup. And when they did that, they made a little cradle that was from here to here, and they lashed the cradle to a crane, and the cradle was horizontal, and then they laid me on the cradle. They tied me down, you'll be glad to hear, and they wrapped me up in blue screen cloth. And then they took me up on the crane, about, I guess, 30 or 40 feet in the air. And then they brought me down in the sort of route that we saw and deposited me on an X. And then they take me, the camera that photographs that is what's called a motion control camera head. It's got a computer in it, and it memorizes exactly the route that the camera takes. So then they take me and the crane out, and the camera goes over that route again. And then in the computer, they marry the two together. And then they did another shot of me, of the head, of me doing that kind of squiggle when the head fits in and walking away. And they married that in the computer, but we got it wrong. We spent days rehearsing it. And when we shot it, we didn't get it quite right. And my head came down here, and when I walked away, I was there. So we had this weird jump, but it took them months and a huge amount of money to get it right. But eventually they did, and it was worth it. I mean, I thought it was astonishing, really wonderful. But do you know what I think? Has the finale shown in England yet? No, has anyone seen it? Yes, of course. Well, I think when she falls apart at the end of the finale, it's beautiful, isn't it? Oh!
Sorry. I don't know if most everyone here was at the party last night, but it was good for my soul. That's all I can say. I haven't had a dance since Contagion in Glasgow last year, so you can see that I needed it. Only I should have had a kilt. I think that a contingent of us should go over to America and teach the American cons how to party. Because, because no one does it quite like us, I think.
Speaking theoretically, through the eyes of Starfleet, they think the Borg are monsters. What do you think?
Oh, I don't think the Borgs are monsters, do you?
Not
No.
really. Not really, but they're sort of bent on assimilating the entire galaxy. What do you think about that?
Well, the thing is that she's it, I think. I kind of developed my own idea about the Borg. And the Borg are just extensions for me of the Borg Queen. She is the Borg. I mean, she says in First Contact, I am the Borg. And I think she is. She's the kind of pure intelligence. She's the consciousness that make the Borg. And all the people that she assimilates are just like tools. They're just like her arms and legs. But she's it. And she really, truly does believe that she's perfection. So she doesn't for a minute think that she's a monster. When she says that she's approaching perfection, that's what she believes. I think she really does think that everyone should be like her. And that it's a gift that she's giving, assimilating. No, I don't think she's a monster at all. And neither does she. Thank you. Well, 2 days on Endgame. The first one was 18 hours and the second one was 22. And by the time we got to like the 20th hour on the second day, we were shooting the very last sequence of Endgame. And there were moments when we could do one take. There was no time. And I felt so sorry for the whole team that was doing the special effects, because they'd spent weeks preparing it and creating something, I think, that was quite amazing. And they had one go at it. And those of you who've seen it, don't you think it was amazing what they came up with? Totally beautiful. So, it was actually, I felt when I made Star Trek First Contact that it was an extraordinary privilege to be with people, the crew, the SX, the special effects crew, and the makeup crew, and the bodysuit crew, who are all about as good as you can get in the universe of film. And there I was working on the television, and it was a different group, and they were just as amazing, but they had like 100th of the amount of time to do what they did. So
I hear you enjoyed the roller coaster, the
Yes.
Pepsi Max. Do you intend to try any of the other rides?
Well, I'm not going to have the time, unfortunately, to go on anymore. I did enjoy. How many people have been on Pepsi Max? It's very intense. I think it's the highest roller coaster in the world and the fastest roller coaster in the world. It was frightening, it was very scary. I didn't want to do it. Robbie talked me into it, and it just keeps going up and up and up and up, and it just keeps going up. And it doesn't stop. And then when it gets up there, it goes straight down and turns like that. And it's very, very frightening. And I suggest you do it because it rattles your brain and you forget a lot about your problems. There was nothing to worry about during that ride. But it was great. I would like to go to some other ones, though, if I had a chance.
I think we all know how relieved you are that you don't have to have all that stuff put on your head to turn you into Neelix anymore. But just supposing you were asked to play an alien again, perhaps for Enterprise, and you had to be transformed into another alien, and the money was tempting enough, could you do it?
Oh, yeah, I did. I've had a good enough break that I could put that stuff on again for a little while. It's difficult to wear it for 7 years because I've said it before. I mean, everybody knows it's as soon as you put it on, you begin to. Anybody here who has gotten into Klingon makeup or worn any of the rubber masks and stuff, it's extraordinarily warm, and so you start to sweat, and it's like ants just crawling all over your head. And the contacts are the worst part. The contact lenses are the worst part because they just sit on your eyes like a pair of thick socks. And you can't take them off because if you do, you can't put them back on because it hurts so much. So I wasn't, and you can't read when they're in. So and you can't sleep because you can't lie back and crush the head, and you can't talk on the phone because the phone sticks to the makeup. So all you can really do is just sit there for 15 or 18 hours and talk. And that's why everybody's so sick of me. They used to say, oh, Ethan entertains us a lot. He's always telling jokes. It's because he can't do anything else. That's the only thing I get to do is sit around and talk. So, but I would put it back on, definitely. I never got into the directing part of Star Trek or the writing part. I'd rather be one thing, which is an actor, because I'm basically lazy, and directing takes a lot of work and a lot of concentration. I'd really rather just hang out in my trailer, because the hell, it was good. We all had a trailer that we could retreat to also, if things got icky. And they didn't often get icky. And everybody's trailer had a different personality. Like Kate's trailer was very, it had little lamps and candles and a little tray of mints and doilies. And she had pictures on the wall and Afghans on the couch, and it was very homey and very comfortable to go into Kate's trailer. Robert Beltran's trailer looked like a cyclone had gone through. We're given boxes of merchandise from the merchandise department. Like every 4 months, they bring down a huge box that's filled with Star Trek dolls and Star Trek ships and cars, all the stuff that they produce and sell. And they give us a bunch of it every 3 or 4 months when a new slot comes out. And you look at it, and some of it you take home, some of it you sign and you auction off, some of it you give to crew people. Beltran just left his in the trailer from the first season, along with everything else that he'd ever took home. So his trailer looked like a very bad day in Beirut. Robbie is a complete nut for film and books and stuff. So his really looked like a library with a big video section. Bob Picardo had the funniest thing. He had a little action figure of the Doctor stuck to the side of his window. So when you passed his trailer, you saw this little Doctor, and he had written, "Help me." My trailer had, the only thing in my trailer that was, I would get pictures of Neelix drawn by little children all over the world. And they're just adorable, and every one is completely unique. And all the walls of my trailer were just plastered with these pictures that kids had sent me. So it was really like an art museum, like a gallery of children's artwork. So that's interesting. Yes?
Hello there.
Hello?
With relation to makeup and costumes, did you have any influence over your costumes? Because I think the suits are terrific. And with relation to makeup, how long did it take, and was anything painful in the procedure?
Was it painful?
Well, like all that latex coming off or going on, or...
In terms of the costumes, I had no input. Bob Blackman did that. Apparently, he was raiding every drapery shop in L.A. I mean, I think Neelix's secret desire was to be a couch. I was like walking upholstery. It was very thick material, and I had probably in 7 years, I probably had about 35 or 40 different costumes. But they were all extremely thick. I remember I went on an away mission, and he had put me in neoprene and corduroy with this head on. I know what a sauna feels like, what it is to be a sauna or an oven. But no, he did everything. He's an extraordinary imagination and great resources. And the combination created those wonderful, wonderful costumes. In terms of the makeup, yes, it took 3 hours to put it on, and it took an hour and a half to take it off. And there was probably another hour of maintenance during the day. So I was in the chair about 5.5 hours a day. And I figured out I was in the makeup chair about 2,900 hours over the 7 years. I really know my makeup man. We became very good friends. Scott Wheeler is the fellow who put it on every single day. He never missed a day. And being a makeup artist is, I was in the makeup room all the time. I mean, people would come in and, oh God, I gotta sit down and get this put on. I'd look at them. I've been here since 3 in the morning, you know? But you would hear all the gossip because it's the hub on the set. The makeup room is the hub of all the gossip, so I was in on everything. I knew everything that was going on. Because the makeup people were big gossips. And they'd get all the dirt, and I'd be privy to it. So it was kind of a nice place to be all that time. And you couldn't really sleep when the makeup was going on, so you had to stay awake. And I used to get up a half hour before I went to bed. That's because we'd get up so early. It would go on, and there's a head that goes on, and then that's glued to you, and that takes about a half an hour. And then they put on a piece over the chin, over the nose and the mouth, the cheeks, and that would take about 15 minutes. And then they would paint the whole thing with this stuff called Pax, P-A-X, which was invented by a makeup artist named Dick Smith, and it was invented for the movie Tootsie. Remember the movie Tootsie with Dustin Hoffman? Dustin Hoffman's beard kept growing through the pancake, so they decided to come up with some kind of a thing that would stop that, and they basically took acrylic and adhesive and mixed it up, and they called it Pax. And it's become used in the industry all the time. And they would cover the whole thing with Pax, so you'd have 2 layers of rubber now, plus the glue. And then when that was all done, they'd paint it. Every day it was painted fresh. And then the hair pieces would go on. And then the blending would start, where you'd have to blend the edges so you wouldn't see the edge of the makeup. And that was the longest. Then the hair pieces went on, and then the contacts and the teeth. By the time it was all done, it was about 3 hours. And a lot of people would say, oh, did you have to put so much glue on? Couldn't you use less glue? But the point is that the more glue you used, the better your face was. Because if you just put a spot of glue here and a spot of glue here, every time you turned, it would stretch. But if you had glue all over, your whole face would turn with it. So you wanted more glue. This is more than you ever wanted to know about makeup. You all don't have to leave. You can all stay. Anyway, thank you very much. And it wasn't painful physically.
Just sit right back and you hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this deep space port aboard this I-class ship. The mates were mighty spacemen and the skipper brave and demure. The ship set sail on the port that day on a capture Maquis tour. A capture Maquis tour. Then subspace started getting rough, and the mighty ship was tossed. If not for their use of techno-speak, the Voyager'd be lost. The Voyager'd be lost. The ship was set in the space of the uncharted Delta Quad with Chakotay and Janeway too. There's Tuvok without his wife. Seven and Paris, B'Elanna Torres, Neelix and Kim, and a doctor with no name. That's by special request from Gilligan's Island. Yeah, there you go. How are you?
What was it like playing a Vulcan in Star Trek?
What was it like playing a Vulcan in Star Trek? Well, imagine being devoid of all emotion entirely and having to convey emotion. No. I had to, actually, it was very easy for me to get up in the morning, to step into this character and hit the road. It was just that simple for me. I think all of us generally were able to fit into our characters very comfortably. The most difficult things that I had to do were when I was not the normal Tuvok, when I had to break out of that character, whether it was in Meld or Riddles, shows like that. Recently we did a show called Workforce, Parts 1 and 2, and again, the character is not himself. That was when I had to work. Doing him on a daily basis was very, very easy. It's very, very easy for me. I'm not sure why that is. That could be a peek into my personality, maybe, I don't know. The Love Boat. I go this. Space, exciting and new. Won't you come on board? We will transport you, and fun with alien ships. They've got plasma rays at their fingertips on Voyager. It seems like there's always something wrong. On Voyager, we've been without sex for far too long. See life in away teams of 5. There's no guarantee you'll come back alive. Oh no, we've lost our warp drive. Shields are down again. Well, that's no surprise. On Voyager, we won't get home for so many years. On Voyager, nobody goes to the bathroom here. Thank you very much. I actually do sing stuff that's, reasonably serious from time to time.
Which interest came first, music or acting?
Which interest came first? Actually, music came first. I was 16 when I started playing music. I have been playing ever since, and I'm 45, so you guys got to put that together. And I've made a living at music for a while, and recently brought it back out. Last 10 years, 12 years, brought it back to life again and started recording. So I've been doing it for the longest time. And I guess one thing probably led to the next. Acting was like the next logical step, if you will. And I've just enjoyed being able to combine both. And many times, quite honestly, as an actor, what they call a triple threat. Some actors who dance, sing, and act, it opens up a lot of doors for work for you, because you never know what kind of parts you're going to get. You may have to play a musician, you may have to play a dancer, you may have to play a singer, and that all comes in handy when you actually do those things. So that's how the order was. Thanks.
I was watching Star Trek, and I wanted to know why Tuvok is so ugly. He's the ugliest guy I've ever seen in my life. And he sure is stupid. Oh, what a dumbo he is. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Tuvok, but he's an ugly, stupid guy. See, you don't...
You know what? I got to tell you, my good friend, Mr. Ethan Phillips, if I ever needed a brain transplant, I would want his.
That.
I gotta tell you, I would want his brain because I know it's never been used.
You a bitch.
Get out of here. You see, this is what I had to put up with for 7 years. You don't know. I did a show with this guy recently. It was at the last couple of seasons. He was in an episode. He were running around. I think it was The Haunting of Deck 9. Which script do you have? The Haunting of Deck 12. Sorry. Deck 9 is the mess hall. Deck 12 is... Oh, anyway. Haunting of Deck 12, I was in a Jeffries tubes with this actor for the whole day, 12 hours, running up and down the Jeffries tubes. Now, the Jeffries tubes are very narrow, and they're claustrophobic. There's no air, except for the contribution Mr. Phillips made. Several times during the day. Always, of course, just before we were rolling. Not pleasant. Of course, I had to retaliate. I had to fight back. Yes, this is the kind of thing, and I have to maintain my composure. I have to be Tuvok in light of this constantly. He and the second of the two, Robert Duncan McNeil, the worst. The two of them are the worst. I can tell you right now, out of the whole cast, they are the worst. They cut up all the time, harass all the time, and like I said, I have to retaliate from time to time. There's just no getting around it. Yes, so, just so you know that. That's the absolute truth.
Hi, Tim. You
How are you?
recently did a play in Texas.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the story was about and what sort of role you played in that?
We did a play called Emergency Room. It was in Austin, Texas. I did that right after the last couple of days of shooting for me. I took off on a plane and started rehearsing. I had 4 days to rehearse the lead role in this play, which is a farce. It's a comedy. And it takes place in an emergency room, and it's a comedy. Do you guys get ER here, a TV show? It's a comedy version of ER. So there's a lot of medical procedures and a lot of patients coming and going and a lot of chaos. And the emergency room is not it's a small town. They don't have a lot of money. They don't have a lot of stuff going on. They're not very well organized. And so I'm one of the doctors in that play, and it was a very, very difficult piece to do. Like I said, I only had 4 days to try to rehearse it and get it on its feet. But we did. It was a very successful play, and I was very happy to have done it. It was my college where I went to school. I learned acting and theater. I went back to that same school and did that play, and it was an absolute wonderful experience.
It's just a question that you said is find it more difficult when you come out of character. So how did you find being in Tuvix? How did you
Well, see,
manage that?
Tuvix was actually initially offered to me to play, but I didn't do it. Tom Wright, the actor, actually played that part, so I didn't have to do it.
All right.
And I was very grateful because that would have been one hell of a week for me to play. That role was really, really very difficult. And Tom Wright is actually, we said yesterday, he's the perfect person to play Tuvix because he was a neutral person, and he could incorporate the two of us much more easily than if I played it, because I might be partially biased towards Tuvok's side and not so much Neelix. It would be very hard to do that and make it, to make it work as well as with using somebody who's neutral is much, much better. I think anyway. It was a good idea on their Box Preacher. Thank you.
Hi, Tim. Yesterday, Robbie told us a little story about your first Vulcan mind meld.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could possibly reenact what you did or give us your side of the story.
Yeah, which version did he give you?
James Brown.
James Brown. That's pretty accurate. Yes, LeVar Burton directed that episode, and he was, I really liked that story. It was a very good story. He was implanted with this chip in his head as part of a sentence for a crime that he had been convicted of, and wrongfully so, and we had to try to figure out what happened. So you kept replaying. The sentence was having to relive the crime. I think from the victim's point of view, if not, I think it's the victim's point of view. It's kind of a very novel approach to a penalty. But anyway, I had to mind meld with him to actually get some clues because I was investigating the case. And he's laying on the bio bed in sick bay, and I have to do this mind meld with him. And the camera is only about 4 inches from his face. It's very close, and on his eyes. And so I talked to LeVar Burton ahead of time. I told him, look, I just want to have a little fun here. That's how I usually preface the practical jokes. I just say, I want to have a little fun here. And, of course, the camera has to be rolling. Otherwise, it doesn't count. And so I got my hands on his head when the director said action. And I screamed at the top of my lungs, I feel good. I knew that I would now. His eyes opened up that big. He didn't know what the hell was going on. And the best thing is that we had to reshoot that. We had to do it again. And he had to be able to do that with that song in his mind. That's what makes it fun. We told a story of coming on the bridge naked yesterday. That actually, we did it. It was a good gag. I had a gag with Ethan Phillips, as a matter of fact. Ethan Phillips and I, as a matter of fact, it was during the episode, I don't remember the name of it, the episode where Bob Picardo's character is singing in the mess hall, and Tuvok goes into Pon Farr. It's part of his, recreation. And Tuvok goes into Pon Farr, and he grabs a phaser from Chakotay and those guys. He holds them at bay, and there was a shot where Ethan had to react to my going crazy. And it's just a single shot. He's just on camera by himself. And I told the cameraman, I said, go ahead and just keep rolling. Don't stop. Just follow me. So we got the camera rolling. Ethan is reacting. I ran into the shot, and I proceeded to sexually molest him. That stopped production for about 10 minutes. And that piece of film, they couldn't process that piece of film the same day as the other stuff, because if the execs saw that, they would be very upset. Because we're in uniform. It's locked up somewhere. They had to process it like the next day or something. So it's in somebody's office locked up. But yes, I got him. And that has been filmed as well. Yes. Even more. Take it up 2 notches, please. One look over my shoulder told me everything that I needed to know about her, and why I'm singing this sad, sad song. A broken heart in another man, 2 little things that make my world come tumbling down, and I'm still trying to get on my feet again. It's a world gone by me, it's a good gone bad, it's a memory faded, it's a smile gone sad, it's a word unspoken, it's a word unsaid, it's a milk that's fading, it's a love we had. You told me once A long, long time ago you said it like this. You said that home is where the heart is. And I'm still trying to believe that it is true. I've grown up on and I never taste. Still got a heart, but my heart ain't got no home. And these four walls are lonely where I live. It's a world gone through me bounces and sees it all away. I'm still trying to feel it coming back every day. It's a world gone by me. It's a good gone bad. It's a memory fading. It's a smile gone sad. It's a prayer unspoken. It's a word unsaid. It's a hope that's dying. It's the love we have. Yeah. La 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 la. Well, the storm is getting closer. Ever since you set me free, I can't stop this hard luck raining down on me, raining on me. Yeah, it's a world gone by me. It's a good gone bad. It's a memory fading. It's a smile gone sad. It's a prayer unspoken. It's a word unsaid. It's a hope that's dying. It's the love we had. It's a world gone by me. It's a good gone bad. It's a memory fading. It's a smile gone sad. It's a hope that's dying. It's a prayer unspoken. It's a hope that's dying. It's the love we have. Thank you very much. I'll be right out here doing a little bit of this.
Moment you've all been waiting for. Miss Kate Mulgrew.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sit down, you mad people. I meant to talk to you, I suppose, about this experience of mine. Almost impossible to do it. So I will encapsulate it by saying that this has been the most extraordinary chapter in my life. When I took this job, was it 8 years ago or 80? I wanted this job. I needed this job. I wasn't very familiar with Star Trek, which I think ultimately stood me in good stead. Geneviève Bujold, whom you may or may not know, was originally cast. What did I hear? Little boos? Little hisses? Could I hear them a bit louder, please? I'm kidding. In fact, I admire her greatly. She lasted a day and a half. And she said, I don't think I can do this anymore. And then they brought in the final 5, which is what I called the last group that I was a part of. 5 actresses who had been in about 2 or 3 times. And they do a thing that's not unlike a prize fight, if any of you have ever been to the fights. It's a knockout, drag-out affair. And I was left standing. 5 wonderful actresses. And Mr. Berman elected to go with the Irish Catholic in the group. And I went to work immediately. I think I had 2 days. It was Yom Kippur in Los Angeles, so that makes it 3 days. And in I went, knowing nothing about it, and being literally shot out of a cannon. I walked in. There were 50 men in suits standing there. The Paramount brass, the Voyager brass, brass, the color I'd never seen before, so much brass. And they were watching this woman. Can she walk? Can she talk? Are her breasts going to get in the way of her authority? What have we done here? Are we insane? And I remember standing off stage because the first shot was on the bridge. I was standing in my ready room with the director, Rick Colby. I said, I don't know if I can do this. I mean, they'd spent 10 hours on my hair. I don't have hair worth 10 hours. But of course, I did follow Patrick Stewart, didn't I? And I said to him, I'm a little bit nervous. This technobabble is very foreign to me. This suit is very tight, and my hair is in a little bun. He said, just forget everything. This is your living room, and it's your baby. Now go. And I went, and I walked on, Mr. Kim, Mr. Tuvok, round, down to my chair, and I sat, and I said to myself, they're all watching. Pull yourself together. So I sat like my father, and I said, engage. They all pulled out a cigarette, and they left. It's been a wonderful 7 years, but I think this is the time to be forthcoming about why it's been so wonderful. It's been wonderful because I made friends of such quality, friendships of such quality, such integrity, and such endurance to me, that it redefined actually my life. John Ethan Phillips, Robert Picardo, Robbie McNeil, my neighbor, whose trailer was right across from mine. Ask me any personal question you like about Robbie McNeil, and I will answer it. To a man, an absolutely wonderful company. What you saw on the screen was the real thing, a chemistry that so seldom happens, but happened to us. Add to that my love of Janeway. At first, I'll warrant you, they were in control. They wanted to make sure I had the command to pull off this franchise for 7 years. After all, the men had done so well, hadn't they? So, they were very concerned that their male demographic, 15 to 25, I'll go to my grave knowing those numbers, 15 to 25, 15 to 30, 15 to 25, can she do it? Can she convince them that she is the captain of this ship? Now, I understand it was controversial. Why wouldn't it be? I was old enough to be their mother, wasn't I? How disconcerting for those young chaps to see their mother in the captain's chair. So I said to myself, I'm going to have to seduce them another way, and not the old-fashioned way. I'm going to have to seduce them mano a mano. So I spent 2 years just concentrating on command, authority. Once I felt that that was in place, I began to fashion Janeway to my liking. Once I felt that that was in place, I stopped listening to everybody else and did exactly what I wanted to do.
Are you happy with how Endgame was written and how all the storylines were tied up, and would you change anything?
I loved Endgame. I loved Endgame, and particularly loved the ending of Endgame. Do I look stupid to you? Maybe after 7 years of exercising such power, Rick Berman thought to himself, I'm going to throw this broad a crumb. And he gave me carte blanche with Endgame. I got to choose the other Janeway. Was this provocative enough? I had a complete hand in the writing, and I helped to form the ending. And I believed that the ending defined, for my taste, the essence of what Voyager was all about. You won't be disappointed.
You already know that you created a role model for people. What you don't know is that I was actually able to win the occasional adolescent discussion with my daughters by saying, "And what do you think Captain Janeway would do?"
See? Give her a hand. That makes it worth it. Now, I just ask you, why did it not have that effect on my sons?
Well, I have a question about why it worked so well for me. I feel that Catherine Janeway was not just what she said or what she did, but so much of what I learned about her was from the tilt of her head, the slowness of her smile, whether she touched someone or not, and if so, how and where. And the question is, how much of that was director-driven? How much of that is Kate Mulgrew creating Catherine Janeway? And how much of it is just Kate Mulgrew? And I suspect a lot of it is just you being you.
Well, a lot of it wasn't actually me being me. I was very careful to separate Janeway from Mulgrew. But the physical stuff, her tactile attitude, her demonstrativeness, that was Mulgrew. And I had to fight. I really had to fight like hell to win those battles. Those producers said the captain doesn't touch. I said the captain doesn't touch. Captain doesn't touch. She doesn't laugh out loud. She doesn't cry. Is she a captain or is she a saint? She's a captain. I said this captain is going to touch, and then you watch. Just watch the way I touch. And the fans loved it. They understood that we were all in that together. I don't know how you go for 7 years without touching anybody. Well, Captain Kirk had his own solution to those problems. But Janeway wasn't going to go that way, folks. No. Thank you. That was a lovely comment.
Janeway really fancied Chakotay.
I was just counting. This is the all-time record of waiting to ask the question, the only question you really want the answer to. Yes? She fancied him. But, she fancied something else much more. And what was that? That's lovely of you to think so, but I'm afraid that worked only one way. She was mad about me, but I did fancy Chakotay, but I had to get the crew home.
I think you were married to your job.
I was married to my job, that's right. How dull, but how important. Can you imagine if I'd been sleeping with Chakotay? Red alert! It wouldn't work, would it? Maudie, Flora, cover your ears. I have determined to do everything I can to help the Alzheimer's Research Foundation find this cure. And in an effort to do so, thank you. In an effort to do so, I brought along a script of mine, an original script of mine, Hunters, where we first meet the Herogen, do you remember? It's fully signed by the company, and in it are all of my personal notes that I took, those many years ago. And I would like to sort of auction this script off, and all of those proceeds will go to the Alzheimer's Foundation, and hopefully to my mother's cure. So I did this in Pasadena, and I started the bid at $1,000. Maybe I'm going to have to change my approach here. Does anybody want to bid on this for $1,000? Yes? Do I hear somebody? Who's in the middle? Thank you. What is your name? She must be Roman Catholic. Thank you. 1,000. 1,000 pounds. Did she say 1,000? 1,000 pounds. Well, you are really something. I thank you very much. Do I hear 1,500 pounds? 1,500 pounds. It's the only script about the Hunters. In it are written all my thoughts about Chakotay and how I wish I'd slept with him. 1,500 pounds. Do I have 1,500? Good for you. How about 1,700? No. Yes? Put your hand up. 46, 47, 48, 49, 5,000 pounds. I have 5,000 pounds. What? You're still standing. But my heart is breaking. Can I go on? Where's the other one? Oh, well, we'll do that tomorrow. 5,200 pounds? 5,500 pounds. It's your last holiday. I'm going to go just one more. I'm just going to throw it. For 6,000 pounds, that's it. Going? Going? Yes? 5,500? For 5,500 pounds, it's going. Going. Gone to the lady standing over there. Unbelievable. Come here. Come here. Come on. Give her a hand. That's great. I know I killed you, but I had to do it. How great. What is your name?
Claire.
Her name is Claire. She is one of the most generous people in the world. Let's have it for Claire. Hear it. There you are. Thank you so much. What? Oh, yeah. I'm going to give it to you now. Go on, take it home. Watch your step there. All right. Thank you. Oh, please. Enough, you angels. I feel as if we have been together for a long, long time. I had a great day yesterday, but I must now have a show of hands as to who does not have an autograph yet. Oh yes, there is hope, dear God in heaven. Thank you.
Is, how did you enjoy playing Arachnia?
Oh, it was my best fun. So much fun. Everybody thinks I was doing an imitation of Bill Shatner. I loved it because it was such a departure, wasn't it? A complete departure. And I said, well, how far can I go? And they said, well, I said, say no more. I went all the way. She was terrific fun. And how about him? What was his name? Bob. What was his name? The madman. Oh, when he electrocuted himself. Do you remember that scene? I wet my pants 4 takes in a row. I mean, unbearably funny. I adored it. I adored it, to answer your question. Thank you.
What did you take home from the set as a souvenir?
Spoken like a true Italian. I will tell you now, because now it's too late for them to nail me. Yes, you know what Tim Russ just walked off the bridge and ripped everything. Took the console, took the panels, took the ship, took the chair. I said, you can auction off a couple of items there, bud. I took my uniform. From the pips to the boots. And I have them in my closet. That's fair, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, I took it. I intend to wear it again. Although my husband's dying to try it on. I wanted to steal that uniform, and those boots are so molded after 7 years. You should see them. You know, I wrecked my feet. It's a true story. All the tissue in the bottom of the arches of my feet has been destroyed because of those heels. 3.5-inch heels. I said, well, let me wear flats. This would solve the problem. Oh, no, Kate. That just wouldn't look right, because, of course, the men are giants, aren't they? Aren't they? You're all giants. They're 6'3", McNeil and Beltran and Russ, right? Right? So it looked like a stupid cartoon. Right? Now, who had to suffer for 7 years? Me, in 3.5-inch heels.
I was wondering if you wish there were more on-screen friendships between you and Roxanne Dawson's character.
Always. I'm a very good friend of Roxanne's. I always wanted that. She's a very intense, very bright actress and a great friend. And I always wondered why. Not that they dismissed it, but they didn't get under there. As the chief of engineering, this would be a particularly close, I think, comrade to Janeway. And they didn't develop it, perhaps because we are too close. Two scientists, they probably thought, would not be too enduring or too compelling. But I regret that. Yes, I do. Thank you.
I was just wondering if you think that some of the issues that are covered in Star Trek, such as a united federation of planets, could ever become reality in the future.
Indeed. I do indeed. I've learned one thing in my 46 years. Why not? Why not? Who are we to say what will be and what won't be? I mean, it's sort of the question of God, isn't it? Does God exist? I certainly don't know. Right? Do you know? Hopefully, of course, it will all come to pass. I'll tell you an interesting story about God. This is, I'm sorry, tangential, but it's interesting. A very close friend of mine is the abbess of a Trappistine convent in Iowa, the Our Lady of Mississippi Abbey, Mother Columba, whom I've known for years. And I've always sought her counsel on all sorts of issues, not the least among them, of course, theological issues. So I was having a particularly tough time a few years back with one of my sons. And I went out to the Abbey and took her out to lunch. She likes to go out and have a cheeseburger and a beer, Mother Columba. And I said, does God exist? She said, well, I haven't a clue, but I certainly hope so. This is a woman who'd spent 45 years in a Trappistine convent. So I think that's the approach I take. I certainly hope
Hello,
so.
Kate.
Hello.
Now, I know Janeway's hair really isn't your favourite subject, but...
My hair?
Janeway's hair. But the question...
My hair? Yes, yes.
I do apologise, but the
It's all right.
question does have to be asked. Which was your favourite hairstyle?
Oh, God, darling. You want to know the truth?
I do.
Well, of course, that little steel thing that made me look sort of like a serial murderer in the first season, that little thing was terrifying. But then they did refine it a little bit in the second one, didn't they? I liked it when it was up in the front and a ponytail in the back. I think I liked that. But you know, towards the end, that was half a wig and half mine. Did you know that?
No.
My own hair is much longer, much nicer, much prettier. Of course, why should Janeway wear that hair, right? Now let's put her in a wig. I never understood it. Drove me nuts. I'm not a typical actress this way. I can't stand to be touched. I mean, darling, I adore touch. In that. I mean 24 hours they're at you. Tell them, Tim, true or false? Every 5 minutes with the powder puff and the comb and the brush and the boom. And all I want to do is the scene. They never stopped touching me. So I, at the end, just wanted to rip it off. You know? I envy Patrick Stewart. Believe me, I mean, I hate to reveal this. Are those guys here still? Are any of those guys here? Because I'll catch hell for this. You do not know what I endured for you. Every Friday night for 7 years with those boys on the bridge at midnight. I know about their anatomies. I know all too much about their anatomies. I know about their scatological humor, too. Shall I share that with you? No. Why? I survived it. They would put me through living hell, knowing that it would make me laugh. Right? At 1 o'clock in the morning, you haven't got much left, have you? No. But I have to look at Tim Russ's bare bottom at 1 o'clock in the morning. And then Robbie would turn and put a little something in his suit and swing around. And I'd have to endure that. Where are they, those boys? Get them out here. I want to show these people their individual anatomies and let them judge for themselves. Bring them out here. Who's here?
feeling when you first got offered the role?
How did I
in-
feel?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I remember exactly, because on a Tuesday I went in. And very, very strangely, usually when you go to network, that's what the process is called. You go to network, you walk into the room, there are approximately 30 people seated in the room behind tables. You're asked to do a scene, perhaps 2 scenes. You are not there to chat, you're not there to make jokes. It's very, very difficult. You are being judged, and you've got 5 minutes to make it or break it. So at the end of the day, we were all dismissed, which ordinarily doesn't happen. Usually, hi. Thumbs up to you too. Hi. I think she's saying 5 minutes, right? They just said thank you, ladies, to all 5 of us. I remember we walked to the parking lot and everybody just, and it was impossible to know. But I felt, when I was in there, a certain alchemy happening, if you know what I mean. I stared into Rick Berman's face, and inside I just said, try me, baby. Come on, come on, come on, come on. But I went home, and it was Yom Kippur, the longest holiday in the history of the world, as you know. Yom Kippur, the Jews in Los Angeles take 30 days for Yom Kippur. Actually, it's a 2-day holiday, and I didn't hear a thing. I thought, well, that's the way it goes. Upsetting, but not the end of the world. So I went to the market on the second day. When I came back from the market, my kids and my housekeeper were standing on the front porch, something they don't often do together, hand in hand, screaming. Listen to the answering machine, listen to the answering machine. Something they have never done, listen to the answering machine. So I went in, there were 4 or 5 messages on the answering machine, and the last one was from Mr. Berman, and he said, Kate Mulgrew, this is Rick Berman calling. I just wanted to welcome you aboard, Captain. See you Monday. I said, children, Lucy, on your knees. Sign of the cross, the Our Father. Then I said, let's open the champagne and get going around here. And that was actually what happened that day. It was a great day.
Yes.
Miss Mulgrew, do you have a favorite captain?
Do I have a favorite captain?
Yeah, who is your favorite Star Trek captain, Miss Mulgrew?
Let me see. Who would my favorite captain be? Well, I would have to say that Bill Shatner's a lot of fun, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, he was a maverick. Avery Brooks I never knew very well. I would have to say, if I had to choose, my predecessor, Mr. Patrick Stewart, would probably have been the finest captain.
Go. You know, if you go out on the promenade and if you were just to look around, go down to the center pier where the tower is, and if you were to turn around very quickly, you might find a fat-faced, curly-haired boy in long, short trousers digging in the sand, and that would have been me.
No, is this where
yeah.
you're from?
My family came here for holidays year after year after year, and I have to tell you, all of you, are the reason for me being in a promenade hotel for the first time in my life.
Seeing you both there, I just wondered, would you like to do a Trek movie together?
Would we like to do a Trek movie together?
Yeah! Oh, yes! But that begs the question, doesn't it? We couldn't both survive, could we?
Why not? Why not?
No. Doesn't somebody always have to die, Patrick?
But not a captain. You could save me from death, maybe. Or maybe you wouldn't, you know?
Yeah.
Let him go, let him go.
You, on the other hand, could save me. Why is that not?
I would love to do that. I could carry you out of a burning spaceship or something.
No, wait. No, that would work because it would have all the elements of Star Trek, plus a little sort of understated romantic illusion.
I thought she'd never go. I mean, she said she'd pop in for a cup of tea, and
Over the weekend, we've heard from the Voyager cast members about the pranks and jokes that they got up to on set and indeed on and off camera. Can you tell me who was the Joker of the Next Generation crew?
what was that about the Voyager cast members? What is that?
Voyager.
Who's what?
Voyager.
Voyager.
That's why we're all here today. Of course, if we'd have known that you were coming, we'd have all been here for that as well, but we're already here, so...
Too late. Is that who she was? The woman who was here? She was in Voyager?
Yep.
I knew that there was some connection, but I just couldn't put it together quite. And your question was about fun and games on the set?
Yes, we heard how they pulled pranks on each other when they were filming and when they were not filming.
Yes.
Was there anything like that when you were filming?
Constantly. It's what kept us sane. We had, particularly as the series wore on, we had alternative scripts that we would act out. I mean, say you would have a scene in which Captain Picard has got a speech talking to some Starfleet admiral. Well, I would have another version of it, which was never filmed, but which would be simply to amuse the crew and the cast and craft service and whoever was around. Yes, we made a point of, I mean, every actor on Next Generation had a responsibility to be entertaining and funny. We are also great singers, and we did a lot of singing on that show, too. I mean, we actually all have quite decent voices, so it was a very lively set to be on. And there were times when I thought that they would have to carry me to hospital. I hurt so much from laughing. And I know it doesn't look like that when you watch the series, because I was always so serious. But without that, a lot of what people liked about Next Generation, which was an indecipherable sense of connection between that cast, would not have been there. It's because of the off-screen life that we had. And I have been given that big signal that says my time is up.